In the city of Shinjo, a hitman named Sakata finishes sharpening his sword and then leaves in his expensive car. Somewhere near the beach, inside a house, a group of Yakuza men report to their boss, Kawano. They tell him that a new gang has started moving into the city and trying to take over. Kawano becomes angry at his men for failing to control the situation. Without warning, he stabs one of them with a knife and then cuts his face, showing how cruel and dangerous he is. At the same time, Sakata sneaks into the area silently. He moves through the building and takes down every guard who tries to stop him. He kills them quickly and quietly. Soon, blood begins to drip from a window and the legs of a dead man can be seen hanging from another. Only then do the rest of the Yakuza members realize that someone has broken in. They panic and rush to protect Kawano, trying to get him out of the house safely. While Sakata fights more guards on the roof, the others try to help Kawano escape through the main door. But there are too many dead bodies blocking the way, so they change their plan and lead him upstairs to the second floor. Sakata keeps cutting down every man who comes at him, sending their bodies falling down the stairs as he makes his way forward. Kawano finally reaches his car, hoping to get away, but when he opens the door, he finds that his driver is already dead. Just moments later, as Sakata is still fighting, one of the gangsters manages to grab him and throw him through a glass door. Sakata and the gangster begin fighting with their bare hands, using anything around them, chairs, tables, or any piece of furniture they can grab. During the fight, Sakata is knocked to the ground, and the man jumps on top of him, trying to stab him. But Sakata manages to take out his blade, cuts off the man's hand, and leaves him bleeding on the floor. After that, Sakata makes his way into Kawano's bedroom, where he uses the body of one of the thugs as a shield to block Kawano's gunfire. Kawano, now completely terrified, runs toward the balcony and tries to escape, but Sakata catches up to him quickly and kills him without hesitation. Just then, another thug tries to shoot Sakata from behind, but before he can fire, he is killed by Fujita, Sakata's handler, who had followed him to the scene. As they leave the building together, Fujita gives Sakata his payment for completing the mission. He also tries to convince Sakata not to retire yet, saying he still needs him for future jobs. But Sakata refuses, saying that his family is more important to him now, and that his life as a killer is over. However, someone unseen is watching everything from the shadows. Later that evening, Sakata returns home. His wife Aoi and daughter Ryo are waiting for him. He takes a shower before dinner to relax, but while he is changing clothes in the other room, he suddenly hears screaming. He rushes out and sees a group of masked men wearing demon masks surrounding his wife and daughter. The men tell Sakata that they are thankful he wiped out Kawano's gang because now their group, which is called the Kimon-gumi, can take control of the city. One of the masked men grabs Ryo, and Sakata quickly tackles him and points a gun at him. But just as he's about to shoot, he hears a loud bang. One of the thugs fires a bullet into something on the table, distracting him. At that moment, another man takes the chance to attack Sakata and begins beating him badly while he's lying on the floor. As Sakata lies on the floor being beaten, his daughter Ryo begs the man not to hurt her father. Her mother Aoi quickly tries to pull her away to protect her, and then falls to her knees, crying and begging the masked men for mercy. One of them becomes annoyed by her crying and without warning, shoots her in the head. Sakata, now furious and heartbroken, tells Ryo to run as fast as she can and then rushes forward to attack the masked men. But before he can do anything, one of them shoots Ryo too. Sakata is left in shock, watching helplessly as both his wife and daughter lie dead in front of him. While he struggles to process what just happened, the leader of the group speaks. He tells Sakata that there is a demon that appears in the city once every 50 years, taking control of one person and turning them into a killer. He claims that their group, the Kimon-gumi, exists to protect the city from this demon. Even with his heart broken and body injured, Sakata says he will kill every one of them one day. The masked men say they'll be waiting for that day and then shoot Sakata too. Not long after, the police find the bodies of the family. Based on what they see at the crime scene, they wrongly believe that Sakata murdered his wife and daughter before ending his own life. The case is closed under that assumption, and no one questions it. 12 years later, the mayor of Shinjo City, a man named Sonohara, speaks to the media. He proudly explains how he transformed Shinjo from a place filled with crime and gangs into a safe and modern city full of new developments. He says that soon the city will open a large integrated resort that will include a casino, shopping malls, and a theater. Reporters cheer and clap at the news. However, one journalist named Kamima asks a serious question. She wants to know what happened to all the people who went missing or were killed over the last decade, including the leader of the group that had opposed the resort project. The mayor brushes off the question, calling it baseless gossip and false rumors. Meanwhile, Sakata is still alive. He has been kept in a secret medical prison all these years, in a vegetative state. When his sentence is finally over, Fujita, his old handler, comes to collect him. He takes Sakata to a small apartment in the city slums. Seeing the poor and broken condition of the area proves that the city is not as perfect as the mayor says. Despite the news reports and shiny buildings, many people are still suffering in the shadows. Time begins to pass, and Sakata, still recovering in silence, is cared for by Raj, a relative of Fujita. Raj handles everything patiently. He bathes Sakata, feeds him, and even takes him outside for short walks to get some fresh air. One evening, as they are returning to their apartment, a man suddenly jumps out from the shadows and attacks. The man stabs Sakata in the arm while screaming his name. It's the same thug Sakata had fought years ago, the one whose hand he cut off during the Kawano raid. The man has been waiting all this time for revenge, but even now, Sakata doesn't react to him, remaining quiet and emotionless. At the same time, journalist Kamima is sitting in a van, talking to a man with a deep scar on his face, the same scar left by Kawano years ago. She's asking questions about the Kimon-gumi. The thug explains that he thinks Sakata had been working for the Kimon-gumi, and that the bloody attack on Kawano's gang was part of their plan to take over the city. Kamima then realizes that the date of that attack is the same day the new resort was granted its business license. She also notices that all of this took place around the same time Sonohara became mayor. The thug goes on to say that the Kimon-gumi gets their money from illegal sources, including human trafficking and the drug trade. But before he can say more, a masked man suddenly smashes the van's window, cutting their conversation short. Kamima panics and runs away as fast as he can. The masked man chases him through the streets, carrying a hammer and clearly intending to kill him. Meanwhile, a second masked man opens the van door, grabs the scarred thug and drags him out. The two masked men then force the thug to hold the hammer and place a gun in his hand, framing him to make it look like he attacked someone and then took his own life. They stand there watching as he dies, making sure the job is done. Just as they finish, one of them receives a phone call and the mood immediately turns serious. Back at home, Fujita is practicing ping pong alone, hitting the ball while thinking deeply. His thoughts are filled with regret about everything that happened with Sakata's family. He had told the Kimon-gumi about Sakata's wife and daughter, but he also begged them not to hurt them. They didn't listen. Now he carries the weight of that betrayal with him every day. At that moment, Fujita receives a phone call that surprises him. Somewhere else, at a hospital, the police chief named Kotaro arrives to check on a patient who was injured during a recent fight between homeless men in the neighborhood. Two officers are standing outside the room guarding the patient, but Kotaro casually hands them some money and tells them to take a short break. Once they walk off, Kotaro enters the hospital room, and we see that the patient is Sakata. Inside the room, Kotaro pulls out and wears a demon mask, revealing that he's one of the Kimon-gumi members involved in the murder of Sakata's wife and daughter 12 years ago. He leans over Sakata and asks if he can recognize him. As he talks, he pulls a syringe out of his coat and prepares an injection. He explains that 12 years ago, when they realized Sakata had survived the attack, their group was told not to kill him again. But Kotaro disagreed with that order. He always believed they should have finished the job. Without realizing it, his voice begins to awaken something in Sakata, slowly pulling him out of his long vegetative state. Kotaro, not noticing Sakata's subtle movements, continues his plan. He gets ready to take a selfie next to Sakata's body as some kind of twisted trophy. But just before he can, he notices Sakata beginning to move again. Shocked, Kotaro stumbles and falls. Sakata quickly grabs him and pulls him down to the ground, choking him with whatever strength he can muster. Kotaro fights back, grabbing whatever objects are nearby and hitting Sakata to get him off. He kicks him hard several times until Sakata loses strength and goes still again. Right then, the two officers return from their break. Kotaro quickly takes off the demon mask to avoid suspicion. The guards don't realize what's going on and don't question him. As soon as they turn away, Kotaro quietly slips the mask back on and suddenly shoots one of the officers in the face, using a pillow to silence the gunshot. The second officer doesn't react or show any surprise, because he, too, is a member of the Kimon-gumi. As soon as they realize that a doctor had witnessed the shooting, the remaining masked man wastes no time and shoots the doctor too, silencing another potential witness. But at that very moment, Sakata suddenly wakes up. He springs forward and attacks Kotaro, catching him off guard. The other officer, still loyal to the Kimon-gumi, immediately jumps in to defend his boss, and a three-way fight breaks out in the hospital room. During the struggle, the officer ends up falling and gets stuck between the bed and the wall, unable to move. Kotaro continues his attack and starts kicking Sakata again, trying to wear him down. But Sakata fights back, managing to land a strong hit to Kotaro's head and then grabbing the hospital's fourth-line oxygen tube, trying to use it to choke him. Kotaro tries to block the tube and fight Sakata off. As they struggle, they accidentally shove the stuck officer through the hospital window, sending him falling out. Sakata quickly wraps the fourth line around Kotaro's neck again, trying to finish what he started. Kotaro rips it off in panic, but that only gives Sakata the chance to switch tactics. He grabs the hospital bed sheets and uses them to strangle Kotaro until he finally stops moving. Just then, Fujita and Raj arrive at the hospital. They're completely shocked to see Sakata, not only awake but walking out of the hospital by himself. On the way out, Sakata grabs a rice ball from a tray. The taste instantly triggers a powerful memory, his wife and daughter's deaths, and that pain reignites his hunger for revenge. Word about Sakata's shocking return spreads quickly and reaches the ears of the Kimongumi, including members working inside an illegal factory and those transporting girls as part of their trafficking operation. The leader of the group is thrilled by the news. Instead of being worried, he sees Sakata's return as a sign. He refers to him as a demon that has returned to roam the city. Excited by this, he begins to dance, performing a traditional ritual as if honoring something ancient and dark. Shortly after, Fujita receives a message from the Kimongumi. They give him a new mission: bring Sakata's dead body to them. Following the plan, Fujita and Raj drive out to the illegal factory with a large bag. When they arrive, they hand over the bag to the Kimongumi. The guards, thinking Sakata is already dead, drop the bag onto a conveyor belt machine. But the moment they turn their backs, Sakata bursts out of the bag, punches a nearby guard straight in the face, and walks out of the room, fully alive and ready for what's next. Takemoto, the factory owner, watches on the security cameras as Sakata fights fiercely against a group of his employees. Without hesitation, he alerts the gate guard, who immediately opens fire on the van where Sakata and his allies are. During the attack, Raj is killed instantly, but Fujita is only wounded and quickly fires back, taking down several of the guards. Afterward, Takemoto consumes some of his own product, then puts on a mask that identifies him as one of the killers responsible for Sakata's family tragedy. Meanwhile, inside the factory, Sakata moves steadily through different areas, taking down every thug in his path. He uses whatever objects he finds nearby as weapons, even smashing their heads against walls, railings, and heavy machinery. At one point, a worker lifts Sakata with a loader truck and dumps him under a pile of trash. In response, Sakata throws a knife and kills the worker. Another worker drives a cart and opens fire, so Sakata leaps onto the vehicle to stop it from moving, then steals the gun to take out several more enemies. More workers jump onto the cart to try to escape, but Sakata kills them with his knife and jumps off just before the cart crashes violently. Still driven by his thirst for revenge, he continues moving through stairs and corridors, killing every man who tries to block his way. When he finally reaches the office floor, he sees Takemoto already outside, pressing a button on his phone. Suddenly, the building explodes. Takemoto receives a call from the leader, who congratulates him on the successful explosion after witnessing it. But Takemoto quickly ends the call when he spots Sakata emerging from the burning building, protecting himself with a blanket. It seems another fight is about to break out, but then Fujita suddenly appears, running over Takemoto before collapsing to his knees, coughing up blood. Fujita, weakened and beaten, apologizes to Sakata for revealing information about his family to the Kimongumi. He admits that he deserves to be punished, so Sakata doesn't hesitate to shoot him. Afterward, Sakata hangs Takemoto and begins beating him further, but Takemoto only laughs and swears his loyalty to his leader. Suddenly, Takemoto's phone rings and Sakata hears the voice of the leader on the other end. In anger, Sakata rips Takemoto's mask apart as the leader reveals that Sakata's daughter is still alive. The leader turns out to be Mayor Tsunohara, who explains that all these criminal activities are what bring money and progress to the city. He tells Sakata that if he wants to see his daughter again, he must let Takemoto go. Despite this, Sakata kills Takemoto anyway. The next morning, reporters discuss the violent attacks that took place the previous night, blaming them on Sakata, and claim that he died in the factory explosion. Meanwhile, Ryo has grown into a teenager and is being watched by Kanta, another masked man. Kanta is in charge of the Kimongumi's human trafficking operations and often looks at Ryo in inappropriate ways. Mayor Tsunohara calls Kanta and orders him to find Sakata, who has been hiding since the recent events. In a modest neighborhood, police officer Takagawa returns to his apartment and notices that a window has been opened. He is startled when Sakata suddenly appears. It is revealed that many years ago, Sakata saved Takagawa's life, and since then the officer has been secretly providing him with information. Takagawa shows Sakata a video of the Kimongumi killing the CEO of a security company. He also has the CEO's finger as proof. That security company now manages the safety of the new resort. After taking Takagawa's gun, Sakata heads to the security company's headquarters. There, he kills thugs on every floor until he finds a small living area. Meanwhile, Ryo hides behind a couch. Sakata discovers a board covered with pictures of his daughter alongside Kanta, who is pretending to be her father. At that moment, Kanta enters, and the two men immediately begin to fight. Ryo uses this opportunity to escape, while Sakata overpowers Kanta, throwing him against furniture throughout the room. Kanta fights back by hitting Sakata with a table before attempting to shoot him. Sakata dodges the shot and grapples with Kanta for the gun. When Kanta strikes him with a decorative object to knock him down, he also insults Sakata. This is when Sakata realizes that Kanta is the man who killed his wife. The gun jams, so Sakata prepares to end the fight. Suddenly, Ryo returns, calls Kanta father, and shoots Sakata with her school bow. Sakata is too shocked to react in time, and the arrow strikes him in the chest. Immediately after, Kanta pushes him through a window. Looking outside, Kanta sees that Sakata is escaping in a car. It turns out that Takagawa is driving, taking Sakata to a safe place where he can remove the arrow and tend to his wound. At that moment, Takagawa receives a phone call from Sonohara, who has spotted him on the security cameras. Sonohara asks Takagawa to pass the phone to Sakata. Speaking to Sakata, Sonohara demands that if he wants to see Ryo again, he must come to the resort. Ignoring his injury, Sakata drives to his hideout to retrieve his old blade and his expensive car. Meanwhile, Ryo is locked in a room inside the heavily guarded resort. Guards are posted on every floor and in every corner, all armed with plenty of weapons. Suddenly, Sakata's empty car appears outside as a distraction, while Sakata himself sneaks into the building. He begins to take down the thugs using his blade and guns stolen from the bodies of his enemies. He also uses various objects found in the rooms, like cargo carts and a fire extinguisher, as weapons. As he moves up the stairs, the fight continues relentlessly, with Sakata killing every man who tries to stop him. Most of the thugs are easy to defeat, but eventually, he encounters a man armed with a sword who manages to injure him before Sakata kills him as well. Despite the pain, Sakata pushes forward until he comes face to face with Kanta again. The two engage in another intense fight, and at first, their skills seem evenly matched. While dodging attacks like a professional, Kanta taunts Sakata by making creepy remarks about Ryo's developing body. Kanta attempts to stab Sakata, but Sakata stops the blade, only receiving a scar across his cheek. He then takes the blade from Kanta, stabs him in the eye, and knocks him out with a blow to the head. More thugs arrive, and by the time Sakata reaches the top floor, he is exhausted. When he enters a room, he is shocked to find Ryo there, but she does not recognize him. This moment of distraction allows the last masked man named Jin to knock Sakata unconscious. Moments later, Sakata is taken to Sonohara, who begins telling Ryo the legend of the city demon. Sonohara wants Sakata to become the city's demon, and he prepares his sword to kill Ryo. Just then, Takagawa bursts into the room, firing his gun. Most of the guards are quickly killed, but Sonohara uses one of his men as a human shield to escape. Meanwhile, Sakata calls out Ryo's name, and his words trigger her memory of the day of the attack. She recalls that the bullet had hit her toy. Ryo runs to hide with Takagawa while Sakata faces off against Jin, who fights using a metal staff. Sonohara returns to watch as Jin easily overpowers Sakata, who manages to land only 1 or 2 hits while Jin continues to beat him. However, after a long and hard struggle, Sakata finds an opening, stabs Jin, and then throws him down the stairs. Afterwards, Sonohara removes Jin's mask, revealing that Jin is his twin brother, except Jin has a burn scar on his face. A flashback shows how they were separated as children, but once they met, Jin became fiercely loyal to Sonohara, even willing to kill for him. Meanwhile, Takagawa tries to leave the building with Ryo, but she decides to go back to find her father. Putting on his mask, Sonohara begins fighting Sakata with his sword. Since Sakata is already badly wounded, Sonohara easily slashes him repeatedly until he cuts off Sakata's free hand. Despite this severe injury, Sakata refuses to stop. He drags his weakened body forward and continues attacking. Sonohara blocks all of Sakata's blows but becomes excited because he sees that Sakata has truly become the demon of the city. Suddenly, both men attack and stab each other at the same time. Taking advantage of this, Sakata unmasks Sonohara and delivers a fatal blow to his head. Then, Sakata rolls down the stairs and notices that Ryo has seen everything. Ryo tries to come closer, but at that moment, Kanta returns and shoots Sakata. Kanta then tries to reconnect with Ryo, but she refuses to have anything to do with him, now that she remembers he killed her mother. He pleads for her attention, but Sakata appears behind him and finally kills Kanta with his blade. Sakata collapses into Ryo's arms and says a few affectionate words before dying. Sometime later, police, firefighters, and doctors arrive to collect the bodies and attend to the wounded. Among them is Jin, who is still alive. Ryo is told to stay in the ambulance, but while everyone is distracted, she manages to escape and runs away. A year later, Jin, pretending to be his brother Sonohara, wins the election by gaining sympathy from the public because of his scar. After giving an interview, Jin puts on the leader's mask and performs a ritual at a shrine deep in the forest. At that moment, Ryo arrives and shoots Jin with multiple arrows, killing him. Afterward, she leaves in her father's car, where she keeps a family photo as a reminder. Make sure to subscribe and turn on notifications so you won't miss more videos like this. Thanks for watching.